Today's election day, so make your vote count and go out and vote. And this isn't going to be a political one, it's just going to be Trump or Harris today that's going to win the election. Maybe it's going to take a few days. But one of the key things is that I saw, I haven't made a political video on this channel too much, but now let's check out this video that is super, super interesting. And then we're going to talk about this one.
The Federal Reserve is holding the economy hostage until they know the results of this election. So we're in a pretty bad shape economically by a lot of metrics. Mortgage interest rates are high, consumer spending is down, and people are wondering why hasn't the Federal Reserve stepped in? And that's because the people in the Federal Reserve are trying to save their positions. Let me explain. If they were to go in and start to stimulate the economy right now, while President Biden is in office and they were to lose re-election and Trump was to win the next presidency, almost certainly they would be seen as disloyal and they would be gone. However, if they wait until after the election, it's a lot more easy for them. What they will do, if Kamala Harris is to win the election, they'll instantly start to stimulate the economy. You'll see them buying mortgage-backed securities, you'll see interest rates go down, and really overnight consumer spending is going to go up. However, if Trump is to win office and Jerome Powell wants to keep his job, they are going to hold back on any economic stimulus until February or March. So how do we play this? If you own a lot of properties, for instance, and you've been waiting to refinance, if Kamala Harris wins, you can probably refinance by the end of this year. However, if Trump wins, you're probably waiting until March or April because Trump is going to want to take credit for the economic resurgence. And it's kind of a shame that understanding politics is sometimes more important than understanding fundamental economic analysis, but that's the world that we live in. So
Pretty interesting, right? So this is probably the most smart thing I heard about the election and everything else, because this has a key thing, a key underlining thing that I wish I would have that I wish I would have knew way earlier. And so this one lesson that we got to take from this is always make your boss happy. And politics are everywhere. So these are the two things. So let's talk about always make your boss happy. So when you are working in, regardless of how big of a corporation you have, if it's a Fortune 500, a Fortune 10, or just a small and pop shop, if you butt to butt with your boss, and you're constantly like, oh my gosh, he's an idiot, and you just butt heads, it's gonna really handicap your growth, or it's really gonna stall. Can't say handicap anymore. It's really gonna stall your growth. And when you stall your growth, you're better off just actually gonna start looking for a better job somewhere else. Because if you make your boss look good, then there's gonna be opportunities to grow and do all that. But if you're just gonna keep butting heads, you're gonna really stall your career, because then he's gonna throw you under the bus to his leaders, and you're just gonna be out of the promotions, right? And this doesn't matter if you're in politics or wherever you are, you always need to make your boss look good. And you just get way further, even though you can say he's a tool or something, but don't tell it to anybody in the office. Tell it to your family, friends, and just zip it. Don't let that in politics or in your office, because even though you're in your office environment and you think like, oh, elections and all this other stuff doesn't happen in my company, it's like, yeah, politics are a thing everywhere. That's why they're called office politics. So be aware and be nice. Don't gossip, and just don't say stuff that you can't factually back up. And if you say something behind somebody's back, don't say it, because you know the telephone game, right? Oh, this guy said this and this guy said that. So don't do it, right? And the other huge point is that understanding politics, oh shit, it's gonna start raining. So this is crazy with this hurricane. So there's another one coming, and it's bringing in all this bad weather. So time to turn around, because it is absolutely crazy and I do not want to get rained on. So yeah, it looks nice, but man, the skies are dark. It's about 12 o'clock. So the second part is really important to understand that politics are everywhere, and you just gotta deal with it. And when you have so many critical issues, you just gotta figure out what works for you and kind of move on from there. But when you're thinking about the big scheme of things, when I see, oh, people are gonna leave the country because of this election, then you're running from something. That's never a good idea. And when you're running from something, you should run to something instead. So let's say, if Trump wins, I'm going to leave the country. It's like, so where do you want to go? Because I get it. I immigrated here. I ran from something to something else. And it was the best decision I've ever done. And so when you're going to do a decision like that, it's always, always great to say, hey, I've been going to Mexico. I've been going to Europe. I've been going to Portugal. I've been going to Greece. I've been going to all these other places in the world that are so great that I've actually could decide to live there. And then if you have family there and it's like, oh, it's been my dream, and now I'm super upset about this one, this election, so this is gonna be it, and I'm out, then do it. Because even though my barber lived, the barber that I saw here, she said, regardless of election, she's moving to Greece because her family opened up a cafe there, and now they're moving because all these hurricanes and they can't take it no more. So completely understand, and it's always great to run to something rather than just from something. And this is just a great example of this is how migration works, right? Go there where they treat you best. If you don't like it here, if you're like, oh my gosh, they're giving us all these crazy taxes and they can't I can't make a living, then see if there's other states, see if there's other cities, see if there's other jobs. And even though they say the United States, oh, we have freedom, most countries in the world now have freedom, besides like North Korea and a few other ones. But most of these countries have freedom, so you can kind of move and go places and see where you can go to and try to get a better life and work on it. And so, especially if you have like a European passport or an American one, you can kind of go wherever you want and you're welcome because you have money and you have skills and you can kind of implement those skills somewhere. So, you have basically the world as your oyster. And then I always say, go and figure out what you really want to do with your life. If you're going to say, this is my last election. And sometimes when you're like, hey, I've been raised in Florida and now I'm going to go to Greece. Sometimes those are the most beautiful moments in life where you're like, hey, even though I was raised in the United States, I really feel at home in Greece because that's kind of how I felt when I grew up in Switzerland and then I moved to the United States. It's like, oh man, this is so great. And now I love it. And so other people I can see have the similar thing where they're like, hey, I don't want to do this no more in the States and I'm going to go to somewhere else. And I go to Brazil or wherever you want to go to. So really, really great. Oh my gosh, this lady was like coming at me. And so there's all these great factors. And oh my gosh, my camera's now getting soaked. So there's all these factors that you need to consider. And yeah, so holy smokes, it starts raining like crazy. So let me get inside here. It's